Most of the biggest and baddest books from DC are back this week, so let's see what's taking them on from the independent studios in Marvel. What's up, everybody? I'm Stan, and welcome to Detail Comics, where we go over comics in detail. This is Preview Picks, where I give you a rundown of what's coming out this Wednesday, and give you an idea as to what it's about to see if you want to pick it up or not. Let's start off with a Boom Studios book by Frank Cho, and that's called Skyborn, which is debuting its first issue. So this has kind of been described as a mix between James Bond with some fantasy elements, so you see like the guy in the suit with the sword right on the cover. So it's very interesting, and I really enjoy Frank Cho's art, so I'm very interested to see how the book plays out. Also from Image, we have a new #1 called Glitter Bomb from Jim Zub, who's writing Thunderbolts. And this is kind of like a Hollywood star bleeped kind of story, murder, mystery kind of thingy. I'm interested to see what this one's all about, but I don't necessarily know if it's something that might stick around on my pull list for a while, but I'm going to give him a shot. Lastly, from Image, we have Ed Brubaker's Kill or Be Killed #2, which is coming out. I didn't have an opportunity to pick up #1, but they are releasing a second printing of #1 to go with this issue #2, so that is great. It's a great opportunity to get into the book, which I've heard nothing but good things about, and unfortunately missed out on myself. Once we get past the independent books, we're going to start up on Marvel with Moon Knight #6, written by Jeff Lemire. So Mark Spector's escaped the prison of his mind, and we see him taking on the form of one of his characters who's starring in the latest blockbuster movie, but is the first arc really over? Have we seen the conclusion of this kind of multi-personality disorder that he's had? And I really don't think so. So this is one of those things that you want to kind of jump into it. There's a trade that's out for this first volume, or at least will be in the next few weeks, so it's definitely something I highly recommend reading. After that, we get into Doctor Strange #11, which is kind of picking up at the end of the Last Days of Magic arc. So we've seen the conclusion, he's fought off the Empirical, but what's left? We can kind of compare the origin story with this current man, and I think that's what they're going to kind of do to set up into the next series of arcs for Doctor Strange. We also hop over to Silk #12, which shows Silk, as well as two of her friends, venturing out into the negative zone in search of her parents. So that could be kind of interesting. And then finally, we're going to go to Invincible Iron Man #13. So this is probably one of the last books that we're going to see Tony Stark starring in as Iron Man. It's just that kind of situation where he probably won't be carrying on the mantle much further. Maybe in one more issue, maybe none. So this could be the last dose of Tony Stark in this specific book for quite a while. So I'd highly recommend picking it up. And it's definitely a Civil War II tie-in, so it's going to give you some sort of conclusion to Tony's arc that might not necessarily be present in the other books, or at least an indication of where the rest of the Civil War II is going to go. After wrapping it up with Marvel, we're going to bounce over to DC that also has a few #1s coming out. We've got Cyborg Rebirth #1, which is going to come out. That appears to be a Rebirth issue, so it's going to be that kind of one-shot introduction to the character. And I'm not particularly interested in it. There's just a lot coming out from DC that's already really good. Another #1 is going to be Supergirl #1. So we're going to leave the Supergirl Rebirth issue, which was a few weeks ago, and then we're going to jump into Supergirl #1, setting up that previous backstory of her as a kind of high school student. Parents that work in the whole secret organization. Yeah, so it's like the TV show, but it's not like the TV show, and she's got her powers because they slingshot her into the sun. There's a ton of stuff going on. But Supergirl #1 is going to come out, and that's going to be a great place to start for people that want to get into that character. Next, we're going to jump into Harley Quinn #3. So we see the conclusion of the Coney Island zombie saga. Poison Ivy's showing up, and that's going to be very interesting. So Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palmiotti, they always do very good work. And I've been picking this book up simply for the Bill Sienkiewicz variants, which are stunning. I'm a big fan of Bill Sienkiewicz's work, so definitely check those out if you have the opportunity. Then we're going to hop into Nightwing #4. So this is Nightwing and Talon, post Barbara Gordon Batgirl kind of cameo appearance or guest spot. And they're making their move against the Parliament of Owls, the whole international organization that's kind of moving in the shadows, similar to the Court of Owls, where they were in Gotham. So this could be a very, very good book. I'm really excited about where this storyline's going. A lot more than, say, Justice League 4. So Justice League is a major league title. It's tying up all of the best characters in the DC universe, and honestly, it feels like it's in it's gone for a rehab start. It's in Double A, it's in Single A. It's just not putting forth the kind of story that I'm looking for that book. So we still see we're on the same arc. There's this whole kind of like space bug vibe. The Green Lanterns are off at this broken planet. These 4 or 5 different giant glowy, ultra tall humanoid figures that are made out of the compressed and collected bodies of other individual humans. They're ridiculous, and at least we feel like we've got a direction kind of moving forward. And that's really what I'm waiting for Justice League. Otherwise, it might not make it very long on my must-buy list. Then we get into the last few books that almost need no introduction. We've got Aquaman number 6 is coming out, and Aquaman's a book that I stopped picking up about issue 2, issue 3, simply because I wasn't super engrossed in the character, and I understand what's going on, the whole thing with the embassy and whatnot, but the introduction of Supes, Superman coming in kind of controlling or directing Aquaman is extremely interesting, and then the variant that's coming out, this whole like carved stone tablet-y kind of thing, I dig that. So I'm probably just going to pick it up just for the variant and to see where the story's picked up, to see if it's a book that I should start reading again or if I made a good decision from the beginning. Batman number 6 by Tom King. This is a book that kind of ties loosely into the first 5-issue arc. It's really kind of that stopgap while Detective Comics catches up before they go to the Monster Men arc, which is going to be issue 7 and issue 8, and it's going to cross over Batman, Detective Comics, and Nightwing. So those 3 books are going to have a 7-part kind of series it's going to go on with that. So this is a good placeholder piece, and I hope that it really fleshes out Gotham Girl as a character. Then we get into one of my favorite books, which is Green Arrow number 6. Overall, Ben Percy has been doing a great job. And in this issue, we see guest artist Stephen Byrne come in and try and put his spin on the character. And I'm super confident that it's going to be a very good book. They've just all been very good books, and I like the way the arc is going, especially since Ollie kind of selectively elected to go poor on his own terms. So that's nice. Then we'll get into Superman number 6. So this is, I believe, going to be the conclusion of the whole Superman, Super Son introduction kind of arc, where we see Jonathan and Clark and Lois on the moon fighting Eradicator, and I really kind of I do hope that it is the culmination of this arc. There's been some very cool moments, but Eradicator's getting a little long in the tooth as far as the way things are going, and I'd really like to see some development, back within the family and overall the progression of Jonathan. So that's what I'm fingers crossed that this is going to kind of tie up all those loose ends and start moving us in another direction. Because finally, we're going to get into Sheriff of Babylon issue 10. So Sheriff of Babylon, if you're not familiar, is kind of dealing with the whole Middle Eastern U.S. troops and contractor situation over in like Iraq and places like that. And overall, it's a great book. I had a chance to meet the artist, Mitch Gerdes. I totally don't know how to pronounce your name, Mitch, and I'm very sorry for that. But he's working with Tom King, who's writing Batman. He also wrote The Vision. He wrote Omega Men. And this is kind of like his third 12-part series kind of culmination. So it's like going to be kind of like a trilogy. Omega Men, The Vision, and Sheriff of Babylon. They're all going to be 12-issue series, and they're all going to be self-contained stories. And I was really excited when I picked up the trade from Mitch when I was at Boston Comic-Con. He did a little sketch for me on the inside, and overall the story's great. I really like the way that everything's written. I really can't say enough good things about it. So if you haven't picked up Sheriff of Babylon, I recommend you grab it as soon as you possibly can, because it's pretty awesome. I really like all of Tom King's stories that he's writing right now. And, Batman, Vision, all those. So those are the books that stuck out to me, but I'm sure there's books that, called to you too. So hit me up in the comments down below. We can start a conversation about those kind of things. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to get more news, reviews, and commentary on comic books, comic book movies, comic book TV shows and games, and anything and everything inside the world of comics.